Welcome to The Explainer. You know, there's a company that's probably a bigger part of your healthcare journey than you realize, Quest Diagnostics. Their latest moves in everything from consumer wearables to AI could really reshape the future of medicine, and we're going to break down how.
All right, let's jump right in. Quest Diagnostics just dropped their Q4 2025 numbers, and wow, they really knocked it out of the park. They brought in more money and earned more than anyone expected, which was the perfect ending to a full year of really impressive double-digit growth.
So you gotta ask, right? How'd they pull this off? And what's coming next? Well, here's what we're gonna cover. We'll look at that stellar report card, dig into their three big growth engines, see how AI is powering their labs, talk about some of the challenges they're facing, and then, of course, check out their financial outlook for 2026.
So, that amazing fourth quarter? Yeah, that was no fluke. It was really the exclamation point on what was an incredibly strong and strategic year for them.
And when you look at the numbers for the whole year, they're pretty incredible. We're talking revenue up almost 12%, hitting over $11 billion. And their earnings? Up over 10%. A huge piece of this puzzle was just a massive surge in demand. I mean, the number of tests they did shot up by almost 8% in that last quarter alone.
So, what's the secret sauce here? What's really driving all this growth? Well, when you peel back the layers, it really boils down to three key engines where Quest is making some seriously smart moves.
First up, it's all about you and me, the empowered consumer. This is a huge trend, right? People want to be in the driver's seat when it comes to their own health, and Quest is leaning into that hard by building a really powerful business that sells directly to us.
And get this direct-to-consumer channel is absolutely booming. It pulled in nearly $250 million in 2025, and it's growing at a clip of over 20%. They've beefed up their online platform to offer over 150 different tests, and they're partnering with some big names you've probably heard of, like Aura and Whoop. The best part for them? We pay directly, which makes this a super profitable business. All right, engine number 2 is all about cutting-edge advanced diagnostics. Now, we're not just talking about your standard cholesterol test here. This is the really high-tech stuff, highly specialized tests that are paving the way for personalized medicine and helping doctors solve some of the toughest medical puzzles out there.
So for instance, think about brain health. Their new blood tests for Alzheimer's, they're seeing double-digit growth because doctors are jumping on these less invasive ways to screen people. Or take autoimmune diseases. Their AN analyzer is helping get diagnoses way faster. And in the world of cancer, they are becoming a major player in blood-based monitoring with tests like Haystack's MRD and the brand new Flow MRD. And this next one, wow, it really shows you the kind of impact they're having on actual patients. Their new Flow MRD test is for myeloma, which is a type of blood cancer. And honestly, it's a total game changer. Instead of a patient having to go through a painful, invasive bone marrow biopsy, doctors can now use this test to monitor the disease with a simple blood draw. That is a huge, huge deal.
Okay, so the third and final engine is all about partnerships with hospitals. Quest is essentially becoming the operational backbone for entire hospital systems. See, hospitals want to focus on what they do best, taking care of patients. So they're increasingly outsourcing the complex lab operations, and Quest is stepping in to run the whole show.
And we're not talking small potatoes here. This is a massive opportunity. Quest expects these co-lab solutions, that's what they call them, to become a $1 billion business. $1 billion by 2026.
And this isn't just some idea on a whiteboard, it's happening right now. They're rolling out these solutions across all 21 hospitals in Michigan's Corewell Health system. They're even building a brand new state-of-the-art lab with them. On top of that, they're now serving over 200,000 dialysis patients through a huge partnership with Fresenius Medical Care. So yeah, this is real.
Okay, so growing the business is one thing, but Quest is also working on making the business itself smarter, faster, and more efficient. And a huge piece of that puzzle, you guessed it, AI.
You know, the CEO, Jim Davis, put it perfectly. He said they're using AI and automation all over the place to boost quality, productivity, and just make the whole experience better for customers and patients. And you can already see it working. For example, they've set up a virtual AI agent to handle all the routine logistics calls. Well, that's cut those calls by up to 50%. Now think about that. It's not just about saving money. It frees up their human experts to deal with the really complex stuff, the issues where you actually need to talk to a person.
But of course, it can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
No business outlook is complete without talking about the challenges, and Quest was pretty upfront about a few headwinds they're navigating on the horizon.
First, let's get into a little bit of regulation. There's this thing called PAMA, and what you need to know is that it's a law that basically decides how much Medicare pays for lab tests. The idea is that the price should be based on what private insurance pays, which, sounds reasonable enough at first.
Now, the good news, at least for now, is that Congress kicked the can down the road and delayed any potential payment cuts until the end of 2026. But, and this is a big but, Quest is warning that this doesn't fix the fundamental problems with the law itself.
So here's the real issue. The law is designed for thousands of labs to report their pricing data. But in reality, almost nobody does. The last time this data was collected, less than 1% of labs in the entire country actually reported. So what happens? You get totally skewed, unrepresentative data, which has led to some really excessive rate cuts for the whole industry. That's why Quest is pushing for a legislative fix called the Results Act to create a more fair and stable system for the long haul.
They also pointed to a few things that are going to squeeze their profit margins a little bit in the short term, but really you should think of these as investments in future growth. For one, they're pouring money into a big new billing system called Project Nova. That huge partnership with Corewell Health, it's going to bring in a ton of revenue, about $250 million, but it starts out at a pretty low profit margin. And finally, those amazing new cancer tests like Haystack MRD, they're still in the early ramp-up phase, so they're not actually making money yet.
But here's the thing. Even with those headwinds, even with those big investments, the company's financial forecast for 2026 is still really strong. It shows they have a ton of confidence in their overall strategy.
So, looking ahead to 2026, they are guiding for continued solid growth. They're projecting another 6 to 7% jump in revenue, and they expect earnings per share to land somewhere between $10.50 and $10.70. Not bad at all.
So, when you put it all together, what does it mean? Well, it looks like Quest is positioning itself to be right at the epicenter of a massive shift in healthcare. As medicine gets more personal, more data-driven, more preventative, the company is making a huge bet. They're betting that the most critical health insights for your doctor, for the hospital, and yeah, even for you looking at your fitness tracker are all hiding in your blood, just waiting to be unlocked. And the big question that leaves us with is, are they right?